a pleasure to meet you.
Hey, well, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Thank you
absolutely.
so much for sharing during the panel.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was really fun for me. That was fun.
How's your pandemic experience
It's
been?
been pretty good, actually. I'm back home with my family,
Yeah.
so that's pretty nice. My brother's in; he's a Santa Clara
Hmm.
student too. So, yeah, just hanging out and still getting after it too. It's
Yeah.
amazing how much we can actually
Yeah.
just do from home. So it's been good.
What was life like before the pandemic for you in terms of like, the things that you were doing, and which I imagine is a lot fewer places now.
Yeah, things were pretty different. It was the life of a college student.
Yeah.
I was taking
Hmm.
my 6 classes and working through those, getting up,
Hmm.
making sure I get my rehab in every day. Um, really
Yeah.
focused on that.
Yeah.
And then starting up my speaking career too, public speaking, sharing this story with
Yeah.
others. Obviously, things haven't been how I planned them. I planned on walking across the stage at
Right.
graduation. Haven't had that. I had some in-person events planned that I was really looking forward to that have kind of
Hmm.
been indefinitely postponed now. But the adapting's been
Yeah.
good. I'm starting to write my first book now,
Yeah.
and doing stuff like this, in this
Oh,
online
wow.
format, has been really
Hmm.
fun because we need the inspiration now
Right.
more than ever in recent history. So it's good. Yeah, I see.
And
Carly just asked a question. Yeah, curious to hear, what do you do when you have off days? Yeah, happy to answer that question right there. I have
yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
off days, actually. There's a lot of
Hmm.
moments when I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm resentful
Hmm.
about what happened. Every single day I wake up in a numb and motionless body. It's something that I still haven't gotten
Hmm.
used to. Now, I'll say I have a lot of off moments, but I don't want to say day. I try not to ever let it dominate my day. And the biggest thing for me, the quickest
Hmm.
shift, and I talked about it in the panel, is that power of perspective. I think perspective is the key to
Hmm.
happiness. Circumstances definitely don't define our level of happiness. I can go to the cliff of Malibu
Yeah.
right now and see someone who's in a mansion that's
Hmm.
depressed. And I can also go see a homeless person on the streets of Berkeley who has a smile on their face, who's really happy. And I think what's really a key to notice there is the perspective that we choose to have. In any given moment, we can choose to compare our lives
Right.
to the greatest of the greats, and we can choose to compare our
Hmm.
lives to some of the lower moments. And we have that choice to make. So whenever I'm feeling down, whenever I feel like feeling woe is
Hmm.
me, I don't know how I can keep going here. I think of
Hmm.
a lot of times the struggle that others go through, and when I'm up on my
Right.
feet and I'm walking and I'm saying, "Man, this is hard," I say, "Old Robert Paylor would have just slapped me in the face right now for saying that I'm complaining about walking."
Yeah.
That's what's really helped me is perspective.
I wanted to kind of expand on that idea and, if you notice other people having off moments, are there things that you can do to help them kind of look at, change their perspective or look at things differently, or is it more of a, like a personal
Mm-hmm,
thing?
mm-hmm. Yeah, helping others. Something that's been really helpful
Hmm.
for me, and I think it'll help everyone, is having a good,
Hmm.
intentional mental diet. Um, with the
Hmm.
physical perspective, it's obvious, right? Nasty in, nasty out. If you eat poorly, you will perform poorly. Just like if you eat well, you will perform well. Well, I think
Right.
the same goes with our mind.
Right.
And the
Hmm.
more negative information that
Hmm.
we take in, the more negative people
Hmm.
that we surround ourselves with, and the more we let that affect us, the more
Right.
negative we're going to be, and the more negativity we're going to put out to others. And I think that we
Right.
have the ability to feed people with their mental diet too. So
Hmm.
being happy. When someone says,
Interesting.
"How's your day going?"
Yeah.
and you say, "My day's going great," who
Right.
doesn't like to hear that? Who doesn't like to
Yeah.
hear someone who's happy,
Right.
someone who's getting after it? That kind of energy
Right.
is infectious. So
Right.
when you're having
Right.
interactions with other people and they're not having a great day,
Hmm.
being able to just let off
Right.
that positive energy and feed their mental diet, um, I think
Yeah.
that helps them.
Yeah. I think that's a fantastic idea, and I love, kind of our, you know, our personal agencies in, or our personal kind of ability, right, to kind of be a positive force.
Mm-hmm.
We also
Mm-hmm.
have a question from Katie in the
Mm-hmm.
chat room about what if you don't have a passion or something that you feel is worth, you know, dedicating yourself to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of maybe not the most creative answer here, but find it. Try to find something that you're passionate about. Try to find something to work
Yeah.
on. I mean, there's so many amazing things in life that we can do
Mm-hmm.
as people. There really is, and
Yeah.
I think everyone has something that they enjoy, right? Whether that's a hobby.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What if you have a family? Being passionate about supporting your family and being a good father or mother, being passionate about everything you do. I mean, we have the
Yeah.
biggest thing that's really helped me in the beginning of my injury was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, I have one life. We all have one life, and I don't want to live a day of my life
Yeah.
sad. Now that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have bad days.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I want to live in a state of passion. I want to find something good in my life. And I'll tell you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I can't walk. I can walk short distances and stuff like that. But I wake up and I hoist myself into a wheelchair every day. Realizing what you do have, having that gratitude, and being able to be excited about something before you lose it is really important. I lost a lot of stuff when I got hurt. I couldn't play rugby anymore. I couldn't see my friends. I couldn't do a lot of things. And I started realizing how much I took for granted. It's important to open our eyes to really realize how much we do have, because I think that's really important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to speak to that, I think, finding something that you enjoy is such a huge part of it, right? Because even if it's significant, but if you struggle with it, if you don't want to do it, it's going to be hard to do it for the long run. And I also feel that we should give ourselves room and some slack, right? In terms of finding how do we want to spend our time? What do we want to focus on? Because I think sometimes it can be hard, right? To feel like I'm not sure what I'm passionate about, but then get this narrative of be passionate, right? And dedicate your life to something. And it just feels like a high bar sometimes. And, feel like it can feel like, well, I don't feel for things that strongly. Right. And so I think just give yourself room and try things and find what you enjoy.
Yeah, and it's just going out and trying things too. You got to be a little uncomfortable.
Right.
You have to seek that discomfort and try new things. That's really important too. Because these passions most likely won't just come to us. It's really intentional to go out there and find what you want to do.
Right. And I love the idea of discomfort, because that is also, I think, a signal, right, that you're in a place where you can grow.
Yeah.
Right? Because if sometimes we just stay in comfort, right? It's very easy to find ourselves essentially in a rut because it is so comfortable.
Yeah.
And so Carly's also asked, how do you find balance in your life? How do you know, knowing it's important to have passion and drive, but how do you find a balance to make sure you aren't exhausted?
Yeah, that's something that I'm really glad she asked too, because myself, Myrna, Remy, we talk about just going out and getting after it all the time. That's impossible. You can't do Hell Week for Butts Navy SEAL training every single week. Life is a long game. I've been doing this recovery for 1,118 days. That's a lot of days. And the thing that's helped me in those moments, when I'm going from working to having balance, is again finding things I enjoy. For me personally, I love barbecuing. I just love it. I love planning a good meal and getting on the barbecue and doing that. That's something I enjoy to do. It's funny, but something as simple as that, or being with my family, being with people I love. It's all about balance. Is about prioritizing. when there's things that are important to you, it's important to give that some priority because it's a long game. You need to make sure that you're focusing on yourself because something important is you can't give what you don't have. If you yourself are exhausted, you can't give energy to someone. If you yourself are imbalanced, you won't be able to be a leader in your community and be a good employee or a good parent. So you need to have that.
Is there a way to know if you're in balance or not, right? Is it just a feeling, or how do you know, like, maybe am I working too much? Am I not working enough?
Yeah, I would say for me personally, when I can't meet my commitments, that's when I know I'm working too much. When I say yes to something and I can't do it, that's not good. I knew I bit off more than I could chew. It's time to learn to start saying no to some things. And there's power behind being able to say no. We live in a really optimistic, driven society where no might not always feel good to say, but it's important to be able to say that and say it well. It's something that's very important to have a balance.
And I think in some ways saying no to one thing is also saying yes to the other things that you're doing. We have a question from Carrie about she's talking about perspective drives clarity of vision. Kind of, what are your thoughts on that?
Vision is very important, and it's been my why throughout my journey. Has been my vision. I was reading Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People recently, and he did this mental exercise with this. Imagine you're at a funeral, and you see the people there, and you see there's an open casket, and you go and walk to this casket, and you look at the person, and that person is yourself. You're attending your own funeral. What are the people, or who are the people you want to be there? What do you want them to be saying about you? Man, this really hit me. It made me step out for a second and think, like, what's important to me? What do I want in my life? Because like I said, we have one life. And so I made that vision for myself, a vision that I wanted to fight for this goal of walking again. And I wanted to share that drive with other people. I consider it a mission from God to inspire other people and use this situation, breaking my neck. Breaking your neck could be all bad, right? What good could possibly come out of breaking your neck? Well, being able to share that gift with someone, being able to touch someone's heart, it makes it a gift. So that's my vision. And where perspective comes into that, I could easily say that, man, I really wish, that I could have been a professional rugby player. That was in my vision before I got hurt. And I'm never going to be a professional rugby player again. That's just not going to happen. But there's a lot, that is going well with my vision. And there's a lot that I have that other people don't have. It keeps me driven. It helps me realize that my vision is good and it's something that I can achieve.
Right. I wanted to ask Carrie if, to chime in and just kind of share about her experience with perspective and vision. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Whether Carrie wants to jump in, because I think she can jump in with the audio video or in the chat room. And then Carly has asked a question around how do you keep track of your goals? Any way of documenting them and the progress you're making, or is it just something that you kind of keep inside, right, internally?
Yeah, it's both. It's definitely both. My athletics have really helped me throughout my journey. And one of those things was really writing down goals, having our long-term goal, and then having all those intermittent goals. When I was playing football, it was win the section championship. That was our ultimate goal. That's what we were always working towards. But we would have goals for each one of our games. So I was a lineman, and I would say, for one of my games, I'd say, I want to get 4 pancakes. I want to put someone on their back 4 different ways. And we would have people where we would give that card to, and they'd keep us accountable. Now I have that in my life. My goals, at first it was, I want to be able to twitch a finger, and I twitch my finger. I said, okay, great. But
Mm-hmm.
throughout that process, okay, now I want to turn this into being able to grab a cup and bring it to my face, or be able to hold a fork for the first time since my injury. Making sure that your goals are quantifiable. They're really recognizable goals. It gives you more clarity for your vision and what you're working towards. That's important. That internal drive is important too. But in order to stay on track and keep that structure, having something that's really documentable, something that's quantifiable, or something when you achieved it. That's important too.
Yeah. I love how you shared kind of like you start with like maybe just moving your finger right to, maybe grabbing a cup, right? So it's kind of almost like figuring out like what is the next step, what is the next thing, and that you can build up to the bigger goal, right? Because if you had set out a goal for like, I'm going to get up and start walking, right? Just from day one, right? Like there's so many things in between, right? that it would feel like even if you were making progress, you may not necessarily see it, right? Because you're looking at, well, can I stand up, right? And walk around? Yes, no, right? And so I think that is huge, right? It's just kind of like figuring out like what are the kind of the steps, the mini goals in between, to where you want to go long term.
Yeah, something I want to talk about too is mental toughness, and it's something a lot of us need right now. Is mental toughness, and on my rugby team, we define that as the ability to focus on the next most important thing. On the rugby pitch, let's say you drop the ball, and you're thinking, man, I can't believe that happened. Why, stupid. Not being able to not letting that affect you, but rather focusing on the next most important thing. When it comes to a big goal, something that's really intimidating, or a lot of adversity in your life, it can get overwhelming. It's very important to narrow your focus and focus on what's the next most important thing, so you don't get overwhelmed with all the things that are going on, and you stay focused on the goal.
So how did you learn that? Was it just through practice, or was there, how did everybody on the team?
I think it was through seeking discomfort. I think that doing things that are hard is important. Pain, that feeling of soreness in your muscles, or that uneasiness you have inside of you, can be a really good thing, because it lets you know that you're getting better. Success does not come without challenges and struggles. And seeking that discomfort, where I'm playing 80 minutes straight on the rugby pitch and my legs are heavy, and I got this 300-pound Polynesian with a ball in his hands, and I got to lower my shoulder into the side and take a big hit. Seeking that discomfort, and not everybody has to play rugby to seek that discomfort. I won't say that. Pushing yourself physically, going to the gym. I'm going to wake up a little bit earlier today, and instead of waking up at 6:30, I'm going to wake up at 6. I'm going to get to the office and get on my emails earlier. Pushing yourself, seeking that discomfort, I think it prepares you to overcome big challenges.
Yeah. How do you kind of not dwell on like the last mistake that you made, right? How do you because it's very tempting. I think it's very common, right, to say like, oh, I made a mistake, and then just maybe spend the rest of your day, or, depending on the scope of that mistake, right? Some people could spend like weeks just dwelling on, on it, right?
Yeah, I think it's having a forward-looking mindset. Not focusing on the things that have happened in the past so much, but focusing on what you can do in the future. It's like what I talked with the controllables and uncontrollables. Things that happen in the past, we can't control. We can react to them though. And with our circumstances, it might seem like we can't do anything about our circumstances, but there are things we can do in the present moment to influence them. That's for sure. If I never worked at walking again, my circumstances wouldn't have changed. I wouldn't have been able to pick up a fork or go to school or do any of those things. But because I chose to take on the challenge, my circumstances are actually changing. So when there is a mistake that happens, when you do something like, man, I really wish I didn't do that, it's important to put that in the past. Don't let it eat you up. Sit down, think, what can I do in this moment right now? I can't do anything about that. That's done.
Right.
That's done. That moment's never going to come back, and
Right.
I can't change that. But can I
Yeah.
remedy it? Is there something I can do right now at this moment to focus on the next most important thing?
Yeah, yeah, and I think it can help sometimes. 'Cause, I think this was mentioned during the panel too. Of like, is there something you can learn from it? Right, take that and then maybe you'll know that you've learned something from it, right, and then you can move on to the next thing. So Carrie kind of jumped back in the chat, and she mentioned how that how she looks at or receives a circumstance affects her ability to to overcome the situation or respond to it, right? And and we talked about how perspective can help you with that, right? And I think, do you have any tips in terms of finding, I guess the right perspective or
Building
a
that perspective.
useful perspective?
Yeah, one of those things I talked about just a second ago was the mental diet, right? And I think that's really important. It's something that has to be intentional. If I were to ask you, what's your mental diet? Could anyone answer that question? Probably not. It's not something that gets taught a lot. It's not something that people focus on a lot of the time. Is think, what's my mental diet? What's that audit I'm doing every single day to make sure that I'm taking in positive information, having positive affirmations with myself. It's something that I do on the regular whenever I'm feeling down. I get on my phone and I don't start looking up videos of puppies and rainbows. No, I look up videos of veterans who came back from war with limbs blown off. I look up stories of people with serious medical conditions. Now, for some people, that might not be good for their mental diet. They might look at that and think, wow, I really feel bad for that person. That makes me sad. But for some of us, and what's worked for me, is I realize, wow, if that person can go through that, I can go through what I'm going through right now. And I can do it with positivity. Because if that person can have a smile on their face with what they're going through, I can have a smile on my face with what I'm going through.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about the mental diet, because I think it is something that is probably new to a lot of people. Certainly not something that we're taught, right? What are the elements, right, of a mental diet? Like, because if somebody came to you and said, like, hey, I heard about this mental diet thing. I want to kind of audit myself, right? Where should I be looking?
First person. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. First thing I was going to say, there's some real practices we can do. I just mentioned one of just looking up inspirational stuff. It's all over the internet. The second thing that I've been doing recently is keeping a gratitude journal. So every single night before I go to bed, I write 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it was based on actually a study that I learned in one of my leadership classes over at UC Berkeley. This professor had 3 segments of groups of her class, and had one group write 3 things that they were grateful for of every single day. Hey, I'm grateful that I woke up today. I'm grateful that this person opened the door for me. I'm grateful I got the promotion. I'm grateful I had a good interaction. The second one was 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 things that you're not grateful for. And then the third group was just 3 things that you're not grateful for, that you weren't excited about that happened in that day. And the results were amazing. The average scores for the people who wrote down what they were grateful for was way higher than the rest. Their mood was much better when they reported it through surveys. And actually their immune system was even better. They took blood samples and their immune system was functioning better because they practiced gratitude. And it goes to show for this mental diet, they were taking in positive information and allowing themselves to think positive things. And because of it, they performed better. Because of it, they were healthier. A mental diet. So that's first, is the things that you can do. And then people interact with me all the time, and one of my favorite questions to ask people is just, how are you doing? And I'm the kind of person, I love to say, I'm doing great, I'm doing awesome, I'm focused on the good stuff. But there's many times when people say, I'm not good. No, I got cut off going to work today, like in traffic. Somebody cut me off, and I'm just like, I'm just off. I don't think it's important to like get in that person's face and say, you know, like, well, why are you mad about that? You have all these things in your life. But just simply not let it affect you. We do have some power to have that audit of things that we allow to hit us, I think, to focus on something else, to leave that in the past, and just respond to that person with, you know, oh man, so sorry about that. That sucks. And just let it be, you know, and keep going on with your positive life. Because it's really important for that mental diet.
Yeah. What are some places to potentially look at in terms of like, you know, where we may be feeding ourselves our mental diet things that, you know, like maybe it's either junk food or it's negative, or, you know, places that where we may want to make some changes to our mental diet, right?
Yeah. Biggest place for me is YouTube. You know, I go up there, I just look up like inspiring stories. You know, the gratitude journal. You know, doing it yourself. There's a lot we can do on our own mental exercises. I mean, going on YouTube or not Instagram, looking at hashtag inspirational. There's plenty of people who are putting out inspirational stuff, and you know, it gets lost in the weeds. There's a lot of negative information and that controversial stuff. Often when you're looking through social media, that's what hits you first. That kind of stuff, because it just drives traffic. So you got to be intentional about it. You really do. And the hardest step is the first step. You know, after that, you're in. You know, you're looking at it. You're taking in good information. That's really important. Like what Micah said there too, or Misha and Micah. So agree. That's really awesome. Misha. Okay.
Misha. So Misha mentioned also doing kind of a daily gratitude ritual, right? And one question I've got around there is, when do you do it, right? And how often do you do it? Do you do it like once a day, twice a day? Just kind of what have you found works for you?
Yeah, I think it's right before bed for me every single time. And it's not a lot. It's 3 things. It's very easy, just writing down 3 things. It just helps me decompress, to reflect on my day. I try to run through these moments and notice the little things that don't get noticed all the time. That's where perspective ties in too. I mean, I can't even tell you how happy I was when I could like wiggle my toe for the first time. You know, I mean, for 8 weeks, I was like staring at this thing and it was never going. And then it finally went, you know, and it's all why I appreciated that moment, because I lost it. You know, there's a lot of things that we have in our lives that we don't often appreciate until we lost it. And I think it's important to do that because there's a lot of stuff around us. So just very simple, 3 things. You know, maybe it's in the beginning of your day too. You know, you're a morning person. You're like, I want to start off this day right. I love what Misha said too, like setting intentions. You know, what are things I want to do today? You know, I want to tell 5 people today, thank you. You know, that's what I want to do. You know, I want to go to the janitor in my office building once we're allowed to go to an office, and say, thanks for what you do. Given that to someone too. You know, like what Remy said with forgiveness, the same goes with gratitude. I think you get more when you give more. I like that too. The birds twittering, morning matcha. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what role have men in your journey? Right? And you know, whether it's people who are kind of more formal mentors or maybe informal mentors, or maybe they may not even realize that, you know, they've, you know, helped mentor you, you know, through things or just, you know, in your life. And then any advice for finding mentors and kind of working, you know, with them.
Yeah, working with other people is so important. It's been so important in my journey, especially for me, because in the beginning I couldn't do anything on my own. I got pneumonia and I couldn't even cough on my own. I mean, I couldn't barely even breathe on my own. And it's hard you feel like you're giving up your independence sometimes when you ask for help. You know, you might feel weaker by asking for help. Because in a way you're admitting I can't do this on my own. But that's the strong thing to do. The strong thing to do is to ask for help, is to work with other people. It's the smarter thing to do. Mentors have been so important to me. Like when I mentioned the phone call I had with my religious advisor, and he told me, Robert, the only thing you control is your mindset. That was huge for me, making that effort to reach out. My mother has been such a great mentor to me. I wouldn't be alive without my mother. Not only would I not have been born, but I wouldn't have made it to that. I mean, she was there with me every single moment of my journey. And now in my professional life, starting the speaking career, needing guidance, my rugby coach has been very helpful for that. With my professor, very helpful for that. And it didn't happen until I just asked. I went out and asked. I thought, here's someone who has something that I want, or an ability that I want to find in myself. I'm gonna ask. I just asked, hey, can you be my mentor? And would you able to push me up on this?
I'm curious. How did you think of your rugby coach? Because you mentioned that your rugby coach, you reached out to him to kind of as a mentor with professional speaking, right? How did those dots connect? Because I don't think it's like super obvious. Like I should go to a coach, right, to kind of.
Yeah, he actually does like culture consulting on his own, because he's won 28 national championships, so he's won a lot of rugby games. So people invite him to come in and share the values of rugby, and so I went to him for that because he knows my story. He has something, he had an ability that I wanted to build in myself.
Very cool. And where do you, I guess, go to find mentors? For example, you mentioned that you're working on a book, right? Like, is there anybody that is helping you with that, or anybody that you're talking to about that?
There is, one of my good friends, he just finished his third book. So I've been working with him on that. People who are close to me, I found that have been the best mentors and partners in my life. The people who really take a personal interest in my success, that's really helped me a lot. So I think that's important to everyone when you're trying to find partners, mentors in your life. Making sure that it's someone you really trust and someone who you think is going to take a personal interest in you. That's where the real growth is. I would definitely sacrifice a higher level of authority or something like that for someone who really cares. I think that's really important.
Right. So maybe one tip to finding a mentor is building the personal relationship first, right? Before building the mentoring relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. So do you have any tips for people who are looking to become more mentally tough?
It's gonna be the same thing I said earlier, and it's seek discomfort. Just push yourself a little more every single day. Like the examples I gave earlier. Wake up a little bit earlier. Really push yourself. You're capable. You're capable of doing those things. Get out and do it. Seek that discomfort. And when things feel a little tough, a little bit tough, when you're thinking, man, I'm a little tired, think like, this is an opportunity for growth. If I do this right now, if I go all Nike and just do it, I'm going to be more resilient in my future. I'm going to be more mentally tough in my future. And after a while, waking up 15 minutes earlier is going to be normal. When you start doing these things, your body adapts, your body gets stronger, your mind gets stronger. And these things that were at one time very difficult become easy.
Right. So in some way, I think that also connects to perspective, right? So if you change the perspective of what does discomfort mean? What does kind of doing this thing that seems tough mean, right? To connecting that back to, it's helping you become more mentally tough. It's helping you to grow as a person, right? Then, can frame it as an opportunity rather than like, oh, this.
Viewing a challenge as an opportunity, that's a beautiful thing. When this thing happened to me, when I broke my neck, you'd think like it'd be all bad, right? It's not that way. That's not the case. This challenge has been an opportunity for me to be a stronger person, for me to realize all the amazing things that happened in my life. I'm so happy that this happened to me when I was 20 years old, because now I'm going to live the rest of my life realizing how great my life is, how many amazing things I have. And be able to share that with others. This challenge is an opportunity. Every obstacle, every challenge in our lives is an opportunity to get better.
Yeah. Just to kind of close this out, one thing that I think is hard, right, is a lot of people want to write a book. Very few people do it. And so kind of what has been some of the things that you've found that has been, or has it been like super easy for you to sit down and like, I'm just going to crank out a book in a few weeks?
It has not been easy.
What's the process?
No, not at all. I mean, I just graduated. I could barely write a 10-page paper for one of my classes, let alone a 250-page book. What's helped me is that I'm not in it for myself. I'm in it for others. Me reading my own personal story, that doesn't mean anything to me. But being able to share that with someone else, living in service to other people, that's a purpose. That's something that I hope we can all find is that what we do is for other people. If that's your job, it's for my family. It's for my teammates. I want to be a good teammate and good employee to this company. That's what really drives purpose. And that's what's helped me in this process of my life.
Cool. Well, we're looking forward to your book coming out. Do you have I know it could be hard, right, to know, like, to predict, right, when a book will come out, because it's, it's not a set process, right? It's not like a 6-week plan, right? But we'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing with us. I think this is a great place for us to kind of end this session.
Absolutely. And if anyone wants to connect, go to my website, www.robertpaylor.com. It's just my name, or social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's not a lot of Robert Paylors. Would love to talk to anyone of you and see what resonated.
Awesome.
And keep the conversation going.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.